major problems with regard to the mental health of our adolescents, surges in depression, and suicidal ideation.
We have new reporting this morning on the effects of inflation. A lot of talk about fuel and food prices, and this has a particular impact on the middle class.
With a revealing look at homelessness among the middle class.
In the bleak landscape of a faltering economy, the American middle class faces a relentless financial storm, struggling to cling to the vestiges of their once secure lifestyle. A terrifying blend of stagnating wages, skyrocketing prices, and escalating debts are gradually dismantling the foundations of middle-class life. Here are 15 once common luxuries now slipping from the grasp of the middle class, signaling the onset of a dystopian era for millions. The new vehicle mirage. Gone are the days when purchasing a new vehicle was a rite of passage for middle-class Americans, with the average price of a new car or truck soaring to an astonishing $48,182. The majority of middle-class earners bringing in around $43,350 individually, or $130,000 for a family of 2 working adults, find themselves priced out of the market for new automobiles. The sky-high prices and interest rates make it an elusive dream, forcing families to rely on second-hand options or alternative transportation methods. The name brand sacrifice. As the once robust purchasing power of the middle class wanes, a 28% decrease in brand name purchases highlights their desperate attempts to cut corners. Increasingly, they must forego the quality and reliability of familiar brands due to their shrinking resources. The pursuit of affordable alternatives leads to a decline in loyalty to well-established brands, marking a significant shift in consumer behavior. The education crisis. The American middle class finds itself shackled by the ever-rising costs of education, with the average student loan debt ballooning to a staggering $39,351. Struggling to secure loans, middle-class families are left with no choice but to condemn their children to a future that is dimmer than their own, with the average student loan debt balance increasing by 97% from 2010 to 2020. The burden of education costs continue to cripple the aspirations of countless middle-class families. The struggle for basic living expenses. A staggering 51 million households in the U.S. are unable to afford a monthly budget that covers essential middle-class expenses such as housing, food, childcare, healthcare, transportation, and a cell phone. The once proud middle class now teeters on the brink of destitution. The United Way Alice Project reported that the percentage of middle-class Americans who believe their incomes are not keeping up with their cost of living has increased by 16 percentage points since December 2020, reaching 75% in June of 2022. The vanishing retirement savings. As retirement becomes an increasingly distant dream, a staggering 59% of middle-class workers admit they cannot save for their golden years due to insufficient income. This harsh reality leaves 20% of those aged 65 or older with no retirement nest egg at all, and a grim outlook for their twilight years. As middle-class workers continue to struggle to make ends meet, they're left with the fear that they may never be able to stop working and enjoy a secure retirement. The dental care predicament. Over 1/3 of the U.S. population lacks dental insurance, and even insured individuals face daunting co-payments for complex procedures. Desperate to cut costs, middle-class Americans are increasingly forced to postpone or forego essential dental care, compromising their health and well-being. According to health statistics, untreated dental issues affect 1 in 4 persons between the ages of 20 and 64, a grim testament to the state of dental care accessibility. The fading emergency savings. The rising tide of living expenses drowns the middle class's ability to set aside funds for emergencies. Today, Only 1 in 7 middle-class households has at least 6 months worth of emergency savings, with over 25% having no emergency savings at all. As the remaining households scramble to accumulate modest savings, they are left woefully unprepared for the unexpected financial shocks that life may throw their way. The unhealthy eating patterns, the spiraling costs of fresh fruits and vegetables, now 12% more expensive than just a year ago, have pushed middle-class families towards unhealthy, processed, high-calorie foods. As their financial resources continue to dwindle, the ability to afford healthier options becomes a distant dream, leading to long-term health consequences and exacerbating the obesity crisis. The marriage dilemma. The exorbitant average cost of $28,000 for a wedding in the US forces many middle-class couples to put their nuptial plans on hold or opt for low-key, intimate ceremonies. The rising costs of weddings, coupled with overall financial instability, are causing more and more couples to postpone or abandon the idea of marriage altogether. The unaffordable child rearing. The estimated cost of raising a child from birth to age 17 in a middle-class family has spiraled to an overwhelming $286,000 in 2022. The ever-rising childcare expenses consume approximately 20% of a typical family's annual income, leaving them with scarce resources for other vital needs, such as housing, retirement, and savings. The high cost of separation. The already distressing process of divorce has become even more financially devastating, with the inflation-adjusted cost of litigation now more than triple what it was decades ago. Former couples may find themselves paying up to $17,000, with those who have children potentially facing a staggering $31,000 price tag. The disappearing vacations. Once an eagerly anticipated annual escape, vacations have become a luxury that most middle-class households can no longer afford without sacrificing other major expenses. Approximately 52% of middle-income earners must forego big-ticket purchases to afford a vacation, while 40% give up other forms of entertainment, and 43% cut back on basic necessities such as clothing. The energy poverty epidemic. As energy prices soar, an increasing number of middle-class households find themselves devoting over 10% of their net income to energy costs. The prevalence of energy poverty has risen by more than 15% in just 1 year, as the once financially secure lower middle class now grapples with the burgeoning crisis. The middle class meltdown. With the erosion of America's middle class accelerating, a perfect storm of financial calamities looms on the horizon. As global events intensify, it is becoming increasingly evident that the worst is yet to come for millions of struggling citizens. The collapse of the American dream. As the grim reality of a dystopian future closes in, the once cherished notion of the American dream crumbles, leaving millions of middle-class Americans grappling with mounting financial insecurity. As the storm clouds gather, the world watches in trepidation, hoping for a brighter dawn. This unsettling descent into dystopia reveals the precarious state of the American middle class, teetering on the edge of financial ruin. The rapidly disappearing luxuries and comforts that once defined this demographic are replaced by a bleak and uncertain future. With the last vestiges of their once secure lifestyle slipping away, the question remains, can the middle class weather this storm, or will they be swept away by the relentless tide of financial despair?